Are you going to say something about that one?
Well, this other article I brought is new also. This came out in 2009, and it is about applying comfort theory as an institutional-wide approach. And they looked at the virtues of borrowed theory versus a disciplinary theory. And what they suggested was just a kind of adapting the framework, they said, that it is not just for the discipline of nursing, it is for all the health-related disciplines. And so they suggested taking out the focus on nursing in application. So taking their suggestion, which I thought was a very good one, I went back to the website and I adapted it, and the theory is now not for nurses, but it was instituted, or it was conceived in the discipline of nursing, but now it would be appropriate to share that with other disciplines. So again, so that everybody's on the same page. And I thought she put a voice to a problem that she saw on the website, which would have limited the theory to nursing.
Excellent. So that's another advancement in dissemination of the concept of comfort.
Right.
The theory of comfort for healthcare for the better outcome for patient outcome.
So she's suggesting this is an appropriate theory for the social workers to use, for the psychologists to use, the pharmacists to use, and everybody, again, would be on the same page. This is, paralleled what I was doing in my consulting work.
Yes.
But I haven't had time to publish all of those nuances of what
But how wonderful
we're doing.
You're getting some support from in the literature for your concept and advancing it. So you're not entirely alone.
Right. That's a good feeling.
That is a good feeling. Okay. One of the other areas that I wanted to talk about was in terms of policy, and we've indirectly touched on this idea, but it seems that one of the ways that things become more part of the general healthcare system is through policy.
Right. I just talked about having comfort in the electronic databases, and not just one system, which is Nick-Nack and Nanda, but I would like to see it in as many as are created. I would like comfort to be a value that is made visible in hospital outcome research.
You also worked with the perioperative nurses, didn't you?
Well,
is that a policy in a sense, because they have it in their standards? And
they developed, that was a very interesting case study. I'm actually going to visit with them again this weekend. The peri-anesthesia nurses decided that they were going to broaden their focus from pain management to comfort management. They did this about 10 years ago, 10 or 12 years ago, and through their national organization, they reached a consensus of the nurses who belonged to the organization across the country that yes, this was something they wanted to do. Peri-anesthesia nursing has always prided itself on being very holistic, innovative in that way. And of course, these nurses are seeing the patients before their surgery, during their surgery, and after their surgery. Sometimes not in all of those settings, and sometimes across settings. And so after their consensus was established by vote, then we went about and we wrote the comfort management guidelines. And that became a standard of care for any nurse practicing in those settings, which JCAHO then enforced. So they started doing comfort assessments. And however the individual hospital wanted to do the patient comfort assessment and the comfort contract with the patient in addition, then they had the latitude within their individual hospital to develop those mechanisms. But the standard of care was for comfort management. And JACO has done a tremendous job with making this decade the decade of pain management. And I keep saying I'm hopeful that the next decade, from 2010 to 2020, will be the decade of comfort management. So I don't know how many people I'm going to get on board with that idea, but we can keep trying.
That's a nice segue into this area, though, isn't it?
Right.
And that's interesting, JACO picked that up.
Right. Well, and nursing really wants to go back to its holistic roots.
Yes.
We've always prided ourselves on nursing to the whole person and the family. But we do not have the documentation that supports that.
Correct.
So gradually we need to change the documentation, and so that we can demonstrate not only the contribution of nursing to holistic care, but all of the other disciplines to holistic care as well.
It seems like you've given nursing a way to identify, measure, and describe, and produce its outcome, which has always been, we want to make our patients comfortable.
Right.
That goes back
Right.
way early in the profession. Right. And we have not identified the basic, obvious outcome of nursing.
Right. We haven't measured it. Our patients will give us testimonials about the wonderful work that a nurse did. We get a lot of thank you notes and letters, and our bosses put them up on the bulletin board, but that's as far as it has gotten in the past. So it's this idea of a value added. Why have a high ratio of nurses on your staff, and why have a palliative care team, and why have peri-anesthesia nurses do a comfort contract? It's because it's that type of comfort that is achieved is a value added outcome. It's not just existing or surviving a hospital stay. And it's value added outcomes are, tapping into the business model, which again is, part of institutional integrity.
Okay, so part of business too. Of course, you want customer care. The customer is always right.
What's the value added of buying a Sony versus a Panasonic, or an Apple versus a PC? Yeah. So that's how we market our particular products. And in this country, with capitalism, the chief ethical framework, our product is good patient care. Right. It's not just care that doesn't manage to hurt you. It's got to be more than that. It's got to be better than that. And it is better than that. We just haven't had a way to show it.
Yes, yes.